All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How are you all feeling? Good to see you. YouTubers, what's up? Obsolete Optics says people say climate change denial is a mental illness. Fukushima denial is the greatest mental illness in human history. It's the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. I don't know. It certainly is not good. Um, I don't know how much is directly correlated to Fukushima, but certainly there are problems. Anyways, we're live on Colin. We're live on Rockfin. Rockfin, what's going on, people? Rockfin people. Choir Boy says sustainable equals using both technology and resources a hell of a lot more wisely and stop worrying about the population. That will take care of itself if humanity would just take care of itself. Maybe. I'm there might be something in there, Choir Boy. Well, isn't that the I mean, isn't that the solution that people propose when they talk about population? When they're when they say, "Hey, let's have a sensible discussion about population, overpopulation," and they say, "Well, we can, the ways to deal with it are education, making sure that people have basic resources, contraception available to all women, et cetera, right? Supporting women's rights. That's sounds like taking care of people. I mean, isn't the countries that have an actual fertility decline or less population growth, those are the people that have a higher standard of living, that take care, maybe they don't take care of their people, but people have more stuff. So I don't know. There's something in there. There's something in there. It is, overpopulation is also a complicated issue like climate change. I don't necessarily enjoy reductive conversations about overpopulation or climate change. Well, if you just do this, then that's it. Well, okay, sure. How do you do that though? You know, it's like just stop oil, or just get rid of the humans. Okay, but yeah, too many people. Okay, but yeah, how do we get there from here? It's just this like one size fits all band-aid, one sentence answer. That's it. That's the answer. That's all we need to know. Okay, but even if that is the answer, how do you get there from here? What are the steps? What do we do? What steps do we take? What would it look like? How would people go in that direction? Just saying the answer, like that's the answer, doesn't help anybody. It just never does. And it is reductive, and it's just like a slogan. Feed the children. Okay. Yeah, totally. Feed the children always. And there are, certain steps involved in feeding the children. There's, how do we make sure all children get fed? You actually have to talk about the solution. You have to talk about the steps of the solution, all the things included in the solution, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Obsolete Optics says 3 full blown out reactor core meltdowns didn't happen at Mayak, didn't happen at Chernobyl, didn't happen at 3 Mile Island, didn't happen on 8/8/2019 on the White Sea in Russia, but it happened. That's true. And they still can't even clean it up, right? It's too radioactive for them to even, the robots melt when they get in there. Ecocentric Homestead says sustainable is consumption at a rate that does not reduce resources. Yeah, that's, maybe a basic explanation of it. Sure, for sure. But how, again, that's an exceptionally spot on answer. But how do we get there from here? Obviously, consumption at a rate implies that we should consume less. How do we consume less? That goes against everything that our entire society is built on, which is more, 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 more. And I had a thought, but I lost it. Choir Boy says, read my next post. All right. Recognizing, of course, so the next post would go, recognizing, of course, that what's keeping us from optimum sustainability is politics, not technology. Yeah, well, locking up the food, sure. Technology is, however, being used to keep us from achieving it, like how MSM doesn't hardly scratch the surface reporting ACD for decades. And then all of a sudden they're talking about it with an agenda. So over 90% of the indies can't stand not being 180 degrees opposed, so they become hoaxers. Brilliant. Right. Sure. Oh, that's a good point. That's a really great point. I was thinking about that today. Well, part of the reason why I posed the question in my title was that somebody, I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere, somebody saying that the sustainability conversation is bad because none of the things being offered as sustainable solutions are sustainable. And I was like, good point. Great point. Right? The solutions being offered are not sustainable solutions. They're not. And what is sustainable given the fact that we're walking into a new reality, as opposed, with climate? What's sustainable with a different possibility for Earth to actually sustain life? I don't know. But that was a good point. So what is, if the options being presented are not sustainable, then what would be the real options? And that, that involves having the conversations. That involves the communication. That involves people being willing to imagine a different reality. People being willing to, possibly give up some comfort, not to the controllers, but just to the, to the commons, to the, to the benefit of all. Right? And that's a tough thing, right? That's a tough thing because every time you ask somebody to give something up, they're like, well, what, how do we do that? I'm not going to give up anything if they're not going to give up anything. It's all the wealthy people. We can, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, I say this unfortunately, and I really mean unfortunately. The only way you're going to do that is by mandate or by force. Not necessarily for the little people, for the wealthy, for the right. You're going to have to actually, confiscate wealth, not from the little people, but from the wealthy. You have to start with them. That would just be the best place to start, right? Instead of asking farmers or regular people to do less or get less or have less, probably the first thing you'd have to do is try to, you'd have to try to implement some kind of serious taxation on the rich or, something. I don't know what. But as I've seen in other, in other communities, right? You can't if you won't give anything up because you're afraid the other guy's going to keep taking. The only way to really make it fair is make it for everyone, right? So we have these limits on consumption, and guess what? Everybody's got to be in the limits. That's how that's going to go, and that's the only way that people are going to feel like, all right, well, I'm not getting taken. They're living under the same rules. I'm living under the same rules. All right, we can do it. Kameshwari Kate says no growth except old forest growth. I like that. Anyways, I don't know. I just thought it'd be Basil Peterson. You don't need a lot to have everything you need. There you go. Maybe it all goes back to the thing I was bringing up a few weeks ago or a week ago about having less, creating a situation in which you can become closer to God or the universe or whatever, or an inner sense of peace or tranquility, or right? Because people constantly complain, oh, I have all this stuff and I'm less happy. I have all these things and I'm less happy. I have all these bills and these responsibilities and I'm less happy. I'm so busy and I'm less happy. Well, maybe just find some happiness in simple things or not having the things. I don't know. Maybe there's a guidepost there for people. All right. Well, let's talk about a couple things since it's so late in the day. Already. It's one of my favorite expressions. If you live in the South or from Texas, Poppy, you might know this. When people say already as a form of, it's like aloha or something. In Hawaii, people say already. I like that. Climate crisis. UN finds no credible pathway to 1.5 C in place. No credible pathway. So, what was the guardrail? What was we must do this in order to not do the things? As in the things being perishing from the planet Earth. We must do this. We must keep everything. And they're saying, well, nope, no such luck now. There's no credible pathway to 1.5 C in place. The UN's Environment Agency has said, and the failure to reduce carbon emissions means the only way to limit the worst impacts of climate change or climate crisis is a rapid transformation of societies. Well, sure. I agree with that. Here's the other thing, too, is like, man, we live in confusing times. I was just listening to a podcast, and they were covering anti-war protesters, heckling Elizabeth Warren. And, in conjunction to AOC as well, right? Yeah, we don't want any war. But they, AOC and, AOC slandered or smeared these protesters as right wingers, right? Backed by the wrong people. It doesn't matter though. Their message is correct. And just, we were talking about yesterday about climate change protesters and climate organizations. And, it's kind of, I don't know if it's correct or not, but it's kind of a smear from the right or from other people. Oh, they're all, Soros funded. It's just a smear. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. It doesn't matter. The message is correct. It's correct. And I don't care who funds Just Stop. I don't care who funds Extinction Rebellion. I don't care. The message is correct. And hopefully the people who are protesting get closer to the real message of what sustainability is. Not like, well, we've got to, just stop oil, or we've got to, everybody get their solar panels today, or everybody, build nuclear power plants. Let's, hopefully the people who are protesting the current state of affairs get to a point where they're promoting like, well, we've got to consume a lot less. Maybe we should get rid of 90% of the industry on the planet Earth. That's actually correct, by the way. Maybe what we should do is stop building infrastructure in order to feed the monster that's destroying the Earth. That's actually correct, by the way. But those are like mind-blowing ideas. That's the problem, is you actually can't get into those solutions because that's the hairy part, right? Just Stop Oil is like, yeah, just stop oil. Yay, happy face, right? Happy sad face. Where all we do is stop, right? It's a very simple message. Nobody has to think about it. Nobody has to like walk down the road of like, what does that actually mean? Just stop oil. If you just stop oil, everybody, a good portion of the people on planet Earth would die. If we just stopped oil tomorrow, that's actually what would happen. So what does it mean? Like, you actually have to have the hairy conversations about what sustainability is or what transformation actually means. It's just easy to say these words. Like, oh, you just have to, military style, answer is what's needed. Okay, what does that even mean? People love these slogans, love these like very simple, it's just overpopulation. It's fine. Yeah, okay, overpopulation and big, okay, and what does that mean? So where do we go from here? What do we do about that? Do we just let everybody run into a cliff and die? Is that the answer? Or is there another answer? I don't know. Anyways, rapid transformation of societies, whatever that means. The UN Environment Report analyzed the gap between CO2 cuts pledged by countries and the cuts needed to limit any rise in global. There's just 1.5 is done. We're already like pretty much there. If we're not literally there, we are figuratively there. So the fact they're even talking about it is ridiculous. Anyways, woefully inadequate. There's not enough going on. Of course. Current pledges for actions by 2030, if delivered, would mean, if delivered in full, these are the pledges. So this is if they did all the things that they said they're going to do, which they're not going to do. 2.5C. Done and dusted. Like, done, son. Woefully inadequate is correct. But if nobody's willing to have a conversation about what it actually looks like to not destroy the planet, I don't know. How can we even get there from here? If we can't even have a discussion about what it actually looks like to not destroy the planet. And I can tell you it's not Teslas and solar panels. That's not what it looks like to not destroy the planet. I can tell you it's not energy efficient heating. I can tell you that it's not, it actually doesn't look anything like the life we enjoy now. And that's the thing nobody wants to talk about. That's the thing that nobody wants in the conversation. But it, could look like some, there could be elements of the life we live now that are still, it's not too bad. It's okay. Some of those elements. I don't know. Well, so we know. Yes, we know. We're far behind. We had a chance to make incremental change. This is the same thing. I think this is the tweet that this article is from. We had a chance to make incremental changes, but the time is over. I mean, it's kind of the same story. UN warns key warming threshold slipping from sight. Slipping. Going. Gone. Done. It's not happening. The sooner they let people know that, probably the better. Maybe that'll be a wake up. Maybe that will make people go, I don't know. "19 photos of the Earth, then versus now." So this is, just observational data, a la Alan Savory. It used to look like this. Now it looks like this. This is not models. This is actual reality that's happening on the planet Earth. Models don't have anything to do with this. So this is how it's going in the Arctic. Oops. Shoot. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, guys. Here's the Sierra Prieto Reservoir in Mexico. Here's how it looks now. Pretty much gone. So it says it's dried up significantly. Look, you could just say dried up. Period. Lake Manchar in Pakistan. This is 2022. And it's in September. I'm not sure. Oh, I guess it's gone. Or mostly gone? I can't even tell. I don't know. Oh, that's flooding. Sorry. So it's more. That's what I was confused about. I was like, is this supposed to say gone? Because it looks like there's more water there. Okay. That's from flooding. Peyto Glacier in Canada. 1999. Here's how it looks now. Much less glacier. Great Salt Lake in Utah. 1985. Much less greater than great. Now it's kind of like the Fair to Midland Salt Lake. (2017), 2021. Receding. Lake Powell in Arizona and Utah. 2017. Oh, yikes. Crikey. Bangladesh in May 2022. June 2022. So flooding. Everything got flooded out there. Northern Michigan 2021 and in 2022. I don't know what they're pointing here. Oh, I guess a tornado tore through here. It's hard to see that one. Lake Mead in 2000. Lake Mead in 2022. Anyways, I could go on and on. That's a lot of ice loss in Antarctica since 1989. Ooh-wee. Iberian Peninsula. Lake is looking pretty low. Andes Mountains, Chile. The glacier is melted. East Antarctica. Breaking up. Tibetan Plateau. I guess this is showing that the snow caps are gone in Tibet. Pakistan on August 4th. Ooh-wee. Flooded out. Shasta Lake. Feeling mighty low. Peru, 2020. I don't know what this is. Illegal gold mining operations at the Amazon. I guess that's what that is. Expanded. Just some observation. I mean, those are just some of the observations. Obsolete Optics says, what happens when there's no more water in the Himalayas? Well, all the rivers will look like Lake Mead or the Colorado River, Lake Shasta. All those rivers look like that because the snow, the once abundant snow caps and snow that we got every winter is now failing. And so there's no snow melt to feed these rivers, reservoirs, etc. All right, I'm going to take a break real quick and check the coffees, the Buy Me a Coffees. We don't have any coffees yet today. We'll check the Rockfins. No Rockfin tips as of yet. All right, let's continue. Let's continue because, man, I'm running a little bit late today. Still quite warm in Europe, or warmer than usual, warmer than normal, warmer than it should be in Western Europe. Especially in Spain. But all through France, it looks like, too. Some very large temperature anomalies. 30 plus C. Up to 25 C in Germany. More to come. Somebody asked if that was the latest 35 C in history in Spain. It may be. It's quite warm, right? For almost November. Let's see. So there are a lot of actions going on. A lot of people concerned about what's going on the planet. And so they're letting the billionaires and the trillionaires and the willionaires know. At 5 a.m. today, climate activists woke up Scott Nuttall in his Upper East Side townhouse. Nuttall is the co-CEO of KKR, the private equity giant that owns at least 28 fossil fuel companies. So this guy owns these fossil fuel companies. He actually does. And I don't know whether these protesters are paid or not, but, obviously the fossil fuel companies are driving a lot of destruction on the planet, and people are upset about that. And so Alan Roberts says it's really warm here in the UK. 16 C at the end of November is about double the expected temperatures. So there you go. Let's keep going. Lots to cover. I'm just going to show some clips of different protests going on around the world regarding climate change. Talking about the BlackRock protests on October 26th. They dumped dirty coal all over the headquarters of BlackRock, these protesters, 3 days before the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. They brought some pitchforks with them. I mean, come on. Come on, that's correct. That's correct. BlackRock is an evil vampire squid of a company. And I don't know if this is going to change anything about how they operate on the planet Earth, but these are the correct people to be protesting. These are the people to actually be. They actually fund quite a bevy of destructive and nasty things. BlackRock is quite evil, high up on the rank of evil in the world. But they fund fossil fuels as well. And so these people are correct. I don't care who subsidizes them or pays them or if they're getting paid, or I don't care. They're correct. This is correct. This is correct. BlackRock is correct. The correct target. These people are doing what they can. It looks like they're actually really getting arrested. So please support these folks and maybe not lob. Oh, they're just Soros must be on the road again. I don't care. I don't care. This is correct action. Anti-war action is correct action. Anti-mandate action is correct action. Harmful pharmaceutical pushing is correct action. Anti-environmental destruction, correct action. Somebody in Germany, not Germany, at The Hague. Attack on Johannes Vermeer's famed girl with a pearl earring painting at a museum at The Hague. I think this guy is gluing himself to the painting. Yeah. Hey, sorry, guys. That was whack. So these folks are, trying to draw attention to themselves. You can't see it. You got to do what you got to do. You may not agree with this, and this may make you angry. Hey, got your attention. People are certainly talking about it, and hopefully the discussion will lead to more discussion. Denver says BlackRock is what a one world government currently looks like. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, they are one of the biggest arms of the vampire squid. If there's a overarching vampire squid that's controlling the planet, they are one of the largest tentacles. So that is an absolutely correct target for protesters. This is an interesting thing. You've all know Noah Harari is one of Klaus Schwab's top advisors at the WEF. Let's listen to what he's saying. It's funny because he's saying this as if, well, it's interesting to me because he says there's going to be a small elite of people that are going to try to build this like technological Noah's Ark for when everything falls apart. And that, I believe, is absolutely going, forward full speed, right? Oh, they are working on it. They are working on that Noah's Ark or that, ultra bunker or a way to survive, the worst of the worst, right? Or to get off the planet or whatever it might be. They are absolutely doing that. He's couching this as if it's a bad thing, right? He's actually as if he's outside of the arc or he's outside of this elite circle. So in some ways, it kind of sounds like he's saying, this is bad, right? This is not what we want to have happen. And he kind of says that through this interview. So I don't know. It's, again, maybe he's part of the WEF elite and he's, on some levels, it sucks because people are couching the correct conversations, and maybe they're not the right people to present these conversations as such. But I don't know. Hold on. Sorry about the sound. Let me try other ways. There are other ways. Okay. No, he won't let me say. He won't let me do it. He won't let me do it. Come on, man. There we go. All right, let's listen to this. This is, it's kind of interesting.
You have a small elite that pushes things in its own interests, even if it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the population. This has happened so many times previously in history, and it's probably going to happen again. One of the biggest dangers to the planet today is this technological utopia, because probably for the elite it will work. If bad comes to worst, and when the flood comes, the scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, leaving the rest to drown, the rest of the people and the rest of the ecosystem. But they are likely to be able to construct this technological Noah's Ark, which is probably what much of the elite is counting on. You have a small elite that pushes things in its own interests, even if it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the population. This has happened so many times previously in history, and it's probably going to happen again. One of the biggest dangers to the planet today is this technological utopia, because probably for the elite it will work. If bad comes to worst, and when the flood comes, the scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, living.
Okay, I just want to listen to that again. Is that interesting what he's saying, though? The way he's saying it. He said one of the worst things that could possibly be going on right now is that the elite are trying to build this utopia that will not work for everybody. It's not going to help people. It's not going to, he's actually, so I find it I don't know. I find it interesting that he's basically saying the WEF, or the people in control, the people that want to build this like supposed technological utopia out there, is going to be bad for everyone else, right? And probably bad for the planet. Probably a bad idea. He's actually saying this thing, the Great Reset or whatever you want to call it, or this possible future that they've constructed, is bad. It's hard to know who's on the side of which and what. And I was talking to a caller yesterday, Iggy, who was saying that, he was saying that Jeffrey Sachs is part of the sustainability pledge, and that he's part of this COVID response kind of thing. And yet he's calling out our war, our war intentions. He's calling out the propaganda around that. Is he woken up? Is he not in the club anymore? Is he saying I don't want to be in the club anymore? Is he saying I don't like what the club is doing? Maybe I was down before, but maybe I'm not now. Maybe he has conflicting opinions. Right? Because not everybody has to agree with everything that we say or that we think in order to not be correct about certain things, right? You don't have to agree with everything that somebody's about. They can, somebody that you completely even despise is still capable of saying something that's true and correct, or maybe that something aligns with you on some level, like, oh, well, that thing right there that they said, yeah, that actually was correct. Right? Like maybe Jeffrey Sachs really does believe in the COVID-19 vaccines. Maybe, but doesn't believe in this other thing. I don't know. Maybe he's autonomous. Maybe he's not fully controlled. Maybe he's an autonomous person who thought at one point he was aligning over here. It's like the conversation around Tulsi Gabbard. Is she, a fully controlled robot of the WEF, or is she an autonomous person who at one point was aligned over here with these things over here, thought she was, and now she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Or is she just an opportunist? I don't know. It's hard to figure out. But the funny thing about painting people as controlled or, not, or inauthentic is that eventually everyone will be inauthentic, including you, right? Eventually, when you go down that road of like, oh, they're being backed by somebody, they're aligned with this person, they think this thing, I can't deal with them. Eventually, you're just going to end up in a bubble of your own construction where everybody's crazy. Everybody's wrong and everybody's crazy, and there's nobody out there who I can get down with because they're all crazy. and then what does that make you? I don't know. I think that you can just take somebody saying, even if you don't like them, even if you are suspicious of them, I think you can take, an authentic idea or a correct idea and just go, well, that right there is pretty good. Doesn't mean you have to support the person in everything that they do or say. I mean, I can go down that road with people, even, channels and journalists that I watch like every single day. I can go down that road of like, well, you said this thing that I don't agree with. Are you controlled? And maybe, who knows? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. From the smallest to the biggest. Size doesn't necessarily, immediately designate that, if you're this big, you're controlled. No, that's not true. That's not true. Or if you're this small, you're telling the truth. That's not true either. Because there's little small players out there. There's little bots out there. There are. I know there are. So, it's hard to figure out what's real and what's not these days. Denver says he's admitting it and he can't help himself, which leads me to the speculation that WEF could be a decoy because they are so clownishly visible and off-putting. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, right. I mean, you're quoting him, but he's not saying that as if that's a good thing. He's saying that like this is a problem. That's the context, and that's very important context. This is a problem, is how he's saying it. And if you're listening to him and you hear the context of how he's saying that, then you would go, oh, yeah, I don't know about those elites that are building this lifeboat. I don't think I like that. I don't know. WEF is a smokescreen to hide the truth, G. Demarest says. The truth of what? Or are they doing the things in plain sight to make people go, ha, like, right? The in plain sight decoy, which is like, or like kind of like, how people feel about Soros, right? Soros does fun things that he wants to see happen. But if you say the word Soros, people think you're a nut. Oh, Soros, George Soros. You're silly. You're funny, right? Like kind of like, if you say the thing, if you say the word, say the line, then everybody's like, oh, eye roll. WF, eye roll. I don't know. Obsolete optics, breaking it down. WEF answers to the CFR. CFR answers the Committee of 300. Committee of 300 answers to the Crown Council of 13. Who dat? Who the Crown Council? That's what I want to know. All right. Guys, I'm going to jump off of YouTube for the last 10 minutes of the show. If anybody wants to call in, feel free. YouTubers, love you dearly. Just going to talk about some sensitive stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Peace out.